On Target, live at the Lincoln Mall. Jan, who do we have on Target tonight?
Tonight we are going to be discussing teenagers in the 80s with Chris D'Almeida and Lisa Leonard, two juniors at Cumberland High School.
And what's the topic again?
Teenagers in the 80s.
Teenagers in the 80s. Okay.
That's where we are.
Thank you for being with us tonight.
What's it like to be a teenager in the 80s? You don't know what it's like to be a teenager in the 60s, right?
Hippies are cool, but I don't know. I'm glad I'm here. This is our time zone.
Let me begin the questioning by asking this. You're both what, juniors in high school?
Yes.
Okay. As adults, I've heard the expression, or as an adult, I've heard the expression that teenagers today are under tremendous pressure from their peers. Would you care to define that, or do you feel that you're under pressure from your peer group?
No,
Well, no.
I'm not.
You don't feel that any of your behavior, for example, or your social behavior or anything is fashioned around what the other kids do? And when I say kids, I don't mean it disparaging.
It is kind of. It is, because you do one thing and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe what she just did, you know? And it's like, it goes around the school so fast, and it's like, oh, it's wrong, you know?
One thing, describe the one thing. Give me an example of a thing. Dating, for example, is that one thing, or breaking
Just
up?
hang around with the people you hang around with, and if they start doing things that you don't like, you don't hang around with them anymore.
That's all.
Mhm.
Just drop them, because you don't need friends like that. You know?
Okay, Jan?
How do you cope with the smoking in schools?
Well, we used to have smoking privileges at our school, and I think when I was a freshman, they stopped it, and they locked the labs now, and we can't smoke cigarettes. And
It's really disgusting in labs. You go in there, you can't even go to the bathroom. You have to go to the nurse's office every time. And the nurse gets so
yeah,
many
there's
people
cigarette
in
butts
there.
in the lab because they took away our smoking privileges. So now, you know, all the people go in the labs to smoke their cigarettes, and that's where they end up. If we had smoking privileges, I think the
be
school would be a
more
lot
cleaner.
cleaner.
Was there any meeting with any of the student body to discuss that?
No, they just took it away from us.
Arbitrarily just removed the privilege?
Yes.
Did they give you any reason?
Well,
Bad
it's
for your
hazardous
health.
to our health, so they thought it was to our benefit
But
to
it's
take
like
it away.
teachers smoke. Teachers use the labs there, you know, they smoke all
They're
day.
making their
smoke.
decisions for us, saying you can't smoke, whether we do or not.
At your high school, are teachers permitted to smoke in the teachers' lounge, for
Yes.
example?
Yeah. They have ashtrays, couches. We don't get that in our labs.
So you equate that as being unfair to the student body?
Well,
I
they
mean-
treat us totally different.
You should see, you can't even go to the lab in the trans without asking for a key. All right?
You have to
to
sign
get a
in.
key and sign your name in.
But isn't that type of monitoring, the fact that you have to get a key, isn't that related to other things besides smoking?
No, they're just... Like
I'm-
what?
Drugs, drug use?
Yeah, but
I don't
not
think
too many
so.
people. It's very, you know, it's not really bad over there. Who knows?
I think most of the people, you know, who do drugs, I don't know that many, but
It's too bad
do
that we
it
don't have, it's too
they
bad
do
that
it
we don't
outside
have,
of school. I mean, they're not going to party in school.
It's too bad we don't have open campus, because that'd be so great. And it like prepare us like for the future, like for, take college for instance, for some of the students that go to college. I mean, we won't get as wild as we're in college, you know, like, oh my God, you know, we can,
Freedom.
yeah, you know, we won't use it wrong, you know, we can leave classes anytime we want in college, you know, so this is like preparing us. If we had open campus, we could do what we want. Well, not, well,
They used to
not
be
as
open
much as
campus
we
at our
want,
school, and then they took it away because there were a lot more students, and it was hard to keep track of them.
But
and
was it being abused? Was that privilege being
at the
abused?
time it was, because
Yeah.
there were so many kids that they couldn't keep track of them.
Mhm.
But now
They
there's
should
not
give us
as
a
many
chance.
kids, and I
That
think they
was
should give us a
before.
chance to have the same privileges as
Okay,
they did.
because other
1977.
classes have moved out?
Yeah, just because they, you
You
know,
moved in.
So they reckon
took
that means
advantage of
we,
it and abused it,
don't
doesn't
get
mean
it.
that we will.
Mhm.
So I
Okay,
think
Jan?
How do they monitor at Cumberland High School? How do they monitor your activities? I mean, they
well,
still
if
patrol
you
the
skip
hallways
a class
or...
or something, they have slips that they write you up, send you to the vice principals and
Get an hour off.
stuff like that. You know,
Saturday.
just regular procedure for stuff like that.
Yeah. And at lunchtime, it's too bad because we have like 5 minutes to be in the labs, and they have to come over there. All right, everybody, come on out. You know, lunch is, you know, can't be in the lab anymore. They kick us out of the lab. We can't leave the lunch area to like maybe some people like to go outside and play hacky sack. I mean, 2 or 3 people got
Frisbee.
2 or 3 people got offers for playing hacky sack. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little thing, you know. It's
Playing what?
Hacky sack. It's a little.
ball.
Let me see one.
Oh,
You see right there.
This is a hacky sack, right? You kick it with your foot.
oh, I see. All
They
right.
kick it with their feet, and it's just a game to play out in the sun. You know, it's springtime. We want to go outside, and they.
Why do you think they took away the open campus? Why do you think they discontinued that?
I really don't know exactly
Just because
what
of
happened.
monitoring the kids?
Yeah, I guess. So.
The student population at Cumberland High School, what's the figure? You go grade 9 through 12, right? 4 years at
Yes.
Cumberland. Do you have any idea what the student enrollment is?
No.
Counting all classes,
No, does anybody know?
about 1,300 students. And your class size is comprised of basically how many children?
Young people.
I don't know. 300.
300. You said young people. I
It's
say
getting lower each year.
children. There's nothing wrong with children. They're
It's
children
getting lower
until...
each year. I mean, to graduate,
Young
it takes-
adults.
I mean, to graduate, you need so much credits. I swear to God, I mean, a senior, all right?
They raised that
Yeah,
too.
a senior. I mean,
cracking
she had
down.
everything. She missed a half a credit, and she was good. She was president of class. I mean, they kept her back. She did not graduate because she missed a half a credit.
Because she took there's a dance program at Cumberland High School called Project Talent, and when you're a freshman and a sophomore, you miss your history credits, and you have to make it up in your junior and sophomore year.
That's right.
And when she was making it up, there was a half a credit that she missed because of that, and they wouldn't let her graduate.
Do you think the academic standards are a little too strict?
Yes,
they could be a little more lenient?
they could be. They should be.
What do you have career goals set in mind? You're a junior. You have one more year of high school.
Going
And
to
when I say-
California.
California.
California,
Maybe.
why
we have some
California?
ideas, but
Because I want to get out of Rhode Island. I want something different.
I like New England.
I
And
know,
I
I
like the
wanna-
sun too.
I want to go to California, and it's like you go over there, and we're like
Play my
planning to rent an
guitar.
apartment, maybe in Los Angeles, and it's like if you live there for 6 months, the college is free over there, you know. So I don't know, it's something different. I don't know, I'm sick of Rhode Island.
Well, when you said you wanted to get out of Rhode
Better bands.
Island,
I just want to go.
say-
I want to go to California. I've never been there. Sounds nice.
Jan?
What about, Frank had mentioned earlier about peer pressure. And I think that kids are no different now than they were in the 60s or 70s or in the 50s. I mean, if you've got a kid next to you smoking a joint and passes it to you, and you don't smoke, there is peer pressure. How do you cope with the drug scene? And it is affluent in
Just say
Cumberland,
no.
just as any other high school.
You just say no. That's all.
Yes.
Is it-
There's
It's like-
there's people who smoke and people who don't. And if you don't, then, most of the
I
people
mean,
you
that
with
shouldn't-
understand and, they don't really
You
care.
shouldn't be judged like
I mean,
that.
if,
you know what I mean?
some people like pot, then,
That's
they'll
fair.
smoke it, but they're not going to get all offended if you don't
Right.
smoke with them.
But how are they looked upon by... Are they in the minority or the majority?
Minority.
In the minority. How are they looked upon by other students in the high school? They must
I
have...
don't know.
You must have some opinion, well, he's crazy or she's crazy for engaging in that type of activity, or...
Well, it's their
He's
own
not-
choice.
Yeah.
So if
Whatever
they
they
want to do
want
that
to.
to themselves, then
It's up to them. I mean, you can't go around saying you
If
should
you-
do
if-
this and you shouldn't do that.
If
you're not
you-
going to
you-
hate someone just
Well, wait a minute
because,
now. Let's
you
back
know.
up a little bit. You say
Back up.
you can't go around saying that. If you have a friend and your friend is engaging in that type of activity, wouldn't you as a friend feel somewhat obligated to...
Oh, yeah, you tell them that,
Tell them you shouldn't do it. But
Well, I don't want to start talking about people.
I know.
in particular,
Well,
but
we're not talking about people,
If I had a good friend that was really getting into heavy drugs,
I'd stop her.
mescaline, pot,
Mm-hmm.
coke, everything, then, I just tell him, you go in like, a little bit overboard,
Backtrack. Get some counseling.
Yeah.
Jen?
Get some help, at least tell them, like to look at yourself and get some
Mm-hmm.
help or something if they want.
What about drinking?
Drinking.
People drink.
People drink, that's correct. People do
I
drink.
mean, you take Europe.
I mean, they
people
drink water, they drink milk, and they
Well,
drink a lot of
no,
things.
no, but you take Europe, for instance. I mean, do they have a drinking age over there? No, they have no drinking age over there. I mean, you can go into a liquor store, you can buy anything you want.
They
But so-
also party,
As long
but they
as-
don't
I know,
drive.
I know, as long as you don't abuse it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you don't use it, it's okay.
Yeah, there's a program that we have Students Against Drinking and Driving, and
Yeah.
Okay, I'll drink to that. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with more of On
Cheers.
Target right after this.
Okay.
Breen Corriere is an independent insurance firm that extends to you all types of insurance protection. Boudiette Breen and Corriere, commonly referred to as BBC, is synonymous with strength and security. And why not after serving clients for more than 7 Welcome back to On Target. We're live at the Lincoln Mall, and we're talking about teenagers in the 1980s and also teenage morality. Jan?
We were discussing a few minutes ago the drug scene, and I'd like to go to the audience and get a couple things. Is the drug movement, is it the majority or minority in Cumberland High School?
I think it's a majority that's involved in drugs. I don't think it's a minority. I really don't. Because there's a lot of kids that are involved in it. And I believe it's the majority.
What's the hot item? I mean, it's not smoking anymore. Is it mescaline? What I...
Coke, cocaine.
That too. Now, Cheryl says it's the majority. You say it's the minority.
Well, I think there's, I don't know. I think it's the minority.
Okay, we could debate in terms,
Well, I don't know exactly how many
You don't go around asking everybody,
people,
you know,
but I mean, there's a lot of athletes in our school and
out of jobs.
that I know that don't.
I want to make it clear, too, that we're not singling or isolating your particular high school because
Yeah.
I think the problem is prevalent across the breadth of the
It's
land.
just not teenagers. I mean, you could take an adult, for instance. They could be, I mean, the adults, I mean, they could be into drugs just the same. It could be more of them than teenagers. I mean,
It's just
you know,
focused on us right now.
I know. I mean, teenagers, oh my God, teenagers, they're the worst. Look at them drive. I mean, an old lady could be out on the street hitting somebody. I mean,
Yeah, but
really,
the
it's not our
statistics,
fault.
but the statistics
Teenagers are the
The
troublemakers.
statistics show that younger drivers, the mortality rate or the fatality rate for younger drivers is much higher than any other age category. In states in which the drinking laws, for example, have been raised, the fatality rates have gone down.
I think a lot
I
of people
don't know.
experiment.
It's always
Well,
been
well, I think experimentation is a part of life, and there's no one denies that. But I think that the drug scene, if you will, the abuse of alcoholic beverages is much more prevalent in today's teenage culture than it was even 20 or 30 years ago. Now, that's an opinion being expressed by someone, I realize, of a different generation than yourself, but I think it's a fair assessment of what's going on.
Well, you know why? Because I could say maybe for most is because, all right, people who do drugs is probably because they can't take it from their parents. Parents could, I don't know, some parents may have gotten a divorce. They can't handle life. They can't handle their friends, and they just got drugs.
I think it's just because
I don't know,
teenagers are around each other and
Something to do.
you're not
you know?
just, I don't know, the older generation, you're not just with a few of your close friends, you know, it's like you're with everyone, you know, everyone your age is around you, you know, and you just go out and have a good time. And I guess alcohol and drugs are involved in that good time for some people, but not all.
Do teenagers, in your opinion, have enough dialogue with their parents about topics such as drug abuse or social behavior?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
And if they don't, okay,
Oh, God.
we-
So, do you talk
okay,
to
we'll
them about
assume that
drugs?
they don't have. Why don't they?
Because
I don't know. It's
They'd
just
be afraid.
Maybe
you know,
bad
oh my God.
communication or something. I don't know. I could tell you my situation.
Well, if I did, you know, I'd be like, I would know. Oh God, I'd be scared. I'd be like, no way I would
Are you
not.
afraid, for example, to confide in an adult or your parents specifically? I mean, is the
Not
average
really.
teenager afraid? Why
No.
would they be afraid to?
get grounded.
Okay, so by confiding, you don't think that the element of trust would evolve?
It's not a matter of trust. You're their responsibility. So if you tell them that, you know, you're taking drugs, that means you're asking, you know, for help. And I mean, sure, they'll help you, but
No, that's good.
if they catch you with something, I'm sure there's punishment involved because they're responsible for you. So I don't think that all teenagers go home and say, you know, yeah, well,
oh,
you know,
God.
on drugs.
I
or
can just see the
something.
neighborhood.
There was a
now.
survey. There was a survey taken at Woonsocket High School. just recently, and 85% of the respondents to the survey indicated that they had absolutely no discourse, no dialogue with their parents concerning sex, for example. I was very surprised. I was really surprised at that because I said to myself, well, Frank, here it is, 1986. As the Virginia Slim commercial would have it, we've come a long way, baby. And yet there is no, apparently there is no great conversational attitudes on the part of parents and teenagers in the home. That surprised me. Does it surprise you?
I think that parents and kids just aren't comfortable talking about it together.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, it's just
No, it isn't. It's
not,
like not
the
a
topic that you talk about over dinner, you know?
Yeah, Ma, you know, can you tell me, it's not the thing to bring up. I don't know, just, and I mean, the parents,
You know, you
man,
might
feel-
discuss it
the
here and
parents
there,
feel the
but
same
I don't
way.
think it's...
How can they discuss
I'm really
it with
surprised to
the
hear you
parents?
say that, because I would think that you'd want a more open dialogue with a parent.
Oh, that'd be
To the
nice,
point where you could discuss anything. For cripe's sakes, if you can't discuss it up front, what do you do if something happens?
Okay, we'll discuss it further after
Oh,
this
some
break.
can.
Hey, my name's Terry McKenna, and I own Terry's Auto Lim.
We're live right here at the Lincoln Mall. Jan?
What we were discussing before we took that break was open dialogue with parents concerning the topic of sex. And my point was, if you don't discuss anything, if a teenager does not have an open dialogue with his or her parent prior to something happening, how are you going to possibly discuss anything after the fact?
See,
Specifically
most-
teenage pregnancy.
Well, most teenagers don't even, they don't talk, they can't, all right, they feel like they cannot discuss things with their parents. That's why their friends are there.
Yeah, but
I mean, they
why?
discuss
There
things.
has to be a reason why they feel that
Because
way.
their friends understand them more in a way. That's what, you know, like they cannot sit there and talk to their parents, and I can just see their
I mean,
parents.
some people do discuss
No.
it if they're really close to
It's
their
like,
parents.
I don't know. Some could, yeah.
So are you suggesting that most teenagers are not close to their parents?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, I
No,
They
but you-
are, in, you know, in certain ways, but then to a point.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's not always the, you know, teenager that's supposed to
What-
bring up the topic. If a parent starts
If you
talking about
had-
it, I'm sure they'll discuss it with them.
All right,
but-
Lisa, if you had some type of magic wand that you could wave, what would you want the typical parent to do to cultivate a better dialogue between themselves and their offspring, young people? Is there
Well,
any?
I don't have that wand, so I don't really know.
Well, you don't have the
I don't
wand.
know.
You don't have the wand, obviously, but
If you had the wand, what would you do? Is that what you said?
pardon me.
Ask Christina.
All right, ask me. I'll answer this.
Well, I've asked.
All right.
What was the question?
I don't know. You guys seem to be getting a big joke out of it. You're approaching a very serious subject
Yeah.
All right.
cavalierly. I don't know why. We invited you on the show to discuss the topic seriously, get your views,
All right.
and everything else.
Seriously.
But magic wands isn't reality.
What could a, the question was, how would you want a parent to react, or what could a parent better do?
I'd like to.
I mean, if I went home pregnant, you want me to tell you how I'd feel and what I'd say to my mother? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'd
No,
want to
to
know if you
communicate.
would communicate with your parent.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
You would.
Definitely.
So there is communication then between.
Yeah, it's not like
Yes,
talk about it
there
every
is.
day, but
Uh-huh.
you know.
How was school? Oh, it was good, you know.
I mean, you live with that person.
Stuff
You
like
don't.
that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I just detect a distance between today's young person and today's parent.
Sure, I mean, some
There is.
teenagers are really, really good friends with their parents. They can talk about anything, but sometimes there's
Some
not
it's
that
like-
communication with,
It's
you
like,
know,
leave me
it's
alone, don't
relationships.
bother
It's,
me.
it's
What do you
how you
want,
are with
you
your
know?
parents.
Don't talk
Everyone's
to me.
different, the way they act with other people, so.
Jen?
Do you think that radical attitude is right?
No? Well, radical attitude, what do you mean?
My whole point is if a teenager doesn't like with their parents the way they're disciplining them or the rules in the house, then why doesn't a teenager just, there's the door, don't let it hit you in the rump on the way out?
Well, then you
Because
consider it a runaway.
A teenager is a parent's
What are you going to do when you walk
responsibility.
out that door? You're a runaway.
That's right.
What are you going to do? I mean, if you have a place to live, you have a job, you can live on your own at 16, and you know that's the way you want it, then
Then again-
fine, go ahead. But I don't think
I
most
couldn't do
teenagers
that.
hate their parents so much that they want to. I mean, in certain
suicide.
cases there are with the kids just can't take it anymore, they take off. But I think, you know, most cases, it's
Yeah.
not that bad.
Of your friends, and not your intimate friends, close friends, but of the people in your circle, social circle, how many are from broken homes? The majority, minority?
What do you mean by broken? How
Well,
long?
divorce, one parent,
Divorced?
single family, single parent family, or
You're looking at one.
no, really. But
Yeah.
I'm looking for a number,
Minority.
not a specific number,
Not
but
too,
are there more broken homes than
then
not?
again, yeah, there probably is because most people rush into marriages, you know, and
No.
it's,
I
You're
don't
talking.
know. Could
You're
be.
talking
No.
about.
It will be. It will become. It
Well,
will.
there's a lot
It
of
will be.
divorces now, but I don't consider the home broken. You know, I mean, it's still
What do you consider it, if it,
just
for lack of a better word,
separated.
separate?
It's not, I mean, just because your parents get divorced doesn't mean your life has to be shattered. Is that what you mean by broken?
No, but don't you think that it causes a lot of emotional trauma,
Oh,
especially
sure.
in younger children?
Sure. Yeah, it
that
does.
could lead into drugs, that could lead into running
That's what
away. or
psychologists
committing
are for.
suicide.
Mm-hmm. Jen?
Do you feel that the divorce rate is having a very adverse effect on kids today?
Yeah. it
I
is.
think they have to be more responsible. And, you know, because if there's a lot of problems going on with the parents, then, you know, they have to take care of them. Not that the parents aren't going to take care of them or anything. It's just, it's different, you know, it's just different for them.
I'll go back again to what can parents better do to have a better association with their, with
let
their,
the kids know that they're
Yeah.
always there.
pardon me?
Let the kids know that they're always there for them.
Okay.
Be there for them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Always like, try and help them.
And they don't, in most instances, do that, so,
Well, some feel like, oh, my kid's all right, you know, she wouldn't ever do this, you know. My daughter, I know my daughter perfectly well, you know.
We'll take a break and we can get back to that.
okay, time for a break. We'll be back with more of On Target right after this. If you're looking for that, and by name, okay. Back on target, right here at the Lincoln Mall. Jan?
Well, I think that we've discussed quite a bit this evening, and that we've at least attempted to open up some dialogue. Maybe at a later date we can finish it up.
I think that's what it was, an attempt. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.